SloMoBackSlap here, slapping you with another video. And today we're going to do things a little differently. The new Telltale Games has dropped their first title, Telltale's The Expanse. A game based off the hit Amazon Prime Video TV show of the same name. And typically what I've done in the past with these kind of games is I'd like to live stream my playthrough. And this has had its benefits, but also a lot of drawbacks for me. I would miss things like story details, areas to explore, etc. as I was engaging with the chat. I also found engagement from the community would drop off after the first live stream. And so I'm going to do things a little differently, a little new this time. I've already played the game off stream, and this is a review of that game, and after the review, a discussion of the spoilers of the things that happened that occurred in the game. This way, those new to the game can have an idea of what the game is like, and those who've already played it can see a new perspective on what they played. This should be more structured. And considering how Telltale expects to drop a new episode every 2 weeks until the end of the season, it should remain fresh in my mind, and you guys can see how my perspective changes as I experience each episode. Sound good? Alright, let's get into it. Telltale's The Expanse is the first game developed by the new Telltale Games, and it follows roughly the same format as the previous Telltale's games did, which means you can expect a narrative-driven adventure, light on gameplay, but strong on voice acting, storytelling, and decision-making. In the past, Telltale redefined an entire genre of games with The Walking Dead Season 1, and followed that up with classics like The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands. Unfortunately, their game design began to get stale, and their sales suffered. Additionally, studio mismanagement led to the closure of the studio, with new management now acquiring the right to be called Telltale. They are now back and making games again. Now, history out of the way, how does The Expanse stack up to their previous entries? We're actually pretty good. It's not as good as, say, The Walking Dead Season 1 or The Wolf Among Us, but it's much better than, say, their Guardians of the Galaxy. For their first foray in this, Telltale partnered with Deck 9, a studio that is very experienced in making the kind of games that Telltale once popularized. Deck 9 has made Life is Strange Before the Storm, a prequel to Life is Strange, the most recent Life is Strange entry, True Colors, and a remaster to the original game. So, in my opinion, it was smart for Telltale to partner with a studio that not only has been executing on this style of game more recently than the former old Telltale veterans on the new Telltale staff, but to help this new studio get their feet wet before they began releasing these games solely on their own. So let's talk about the visuals. The old clunky proprietary engine used by Telltale in the past that started out as unique due to its cel-shaded nature became a hindrance to the gamer, as performance would often struggle on consoles and look dated. Like many developers in the industry today, Telltale has foregone their own engine to adopt Unreal, and this has been a welcome change. Deck 9 and Telltale have achieved better animations, facial expressions, and overall performance in this game that they've done compared to games in the past. Characters are far more expressive, the environments look lifted directly from the TV series, and the art direction really works. Of course, it's no graphical masterpiece, but it's much better than what Telltale has done in the past. Some may be sad to see the cel-shaded look go, but overall this direction, especially for this particular IP, was needed. I fully expect their next game, a sequel to the critically acclaimed The Wolf Among Us, to turn back to the cel-shaded art direction that is based off of a graphic novel, but it's good to see Telltale being more versatile here. I played this on my PC. Neither my CPU, GPU, RAM, or VRAM were anywhere near close to being maxed out, so I expect a mid or low level PC or the consoles to have no problem with this game and performance. The frame rate was capped at 120 frames per second, which is fine considering the kind of game we're playing. I was initially confused on the difference between the high preset and cinematic because frankly I found zero difference between the two, but I have settled on believing maybe the cinematic settings use more depth of field and conversations, but really not much else. Overall, the art direction, level design, character models, and animations work to provide an experience you wouldn't find disappointing. So what exactly is The Expanse about? The critically acclaimed TV series is based off a series of novels and was originally adapted to television on Sci-Fi Channel. In a typical move to keep costs down, Sci-Fi Channel only did 3 seasons before canceling it. It was then picked up by Amazon, and you can find the entire series on Prime Video right now. It's a science fiction epic that tells stories of characters living in our solar system, but the game focuses on just one. In The Expanse, you take control of Kamina Drummer, a side character in the TV series, but also a fan favorite. This story takes place prior to her appearance in the TV series, so although this universe may be familiar to those who've watched the show, they aren't rehashing previous story beats. Everyone, newcomers and fans of the show alike, are experiencing a new story. Kamina is the XO on a scavenger ship in the solar system. The crew she manages and the captain she has to take orders from are well written, yet also nothing groundbreaking. The narrative is told in a way where you see the end first and then experience how the characters got to that point throughout the episode. It's executed well enough. Something I found particularly annoying with old Telltale is a lot of times the decisions they would force you to make had very little impact. Also, some of those decisions wouldn't have ramifications until later episodes, and the payoff for those decisions could occasionally fall flat. In just this first episode alone, I was able to see how decisions I made had consequences pretty quickly, and not just the major decisions, the little ones too. That's an important improvement on their previous game design, and I'm curious on how they'll continue to execute on that in future episodes. Overall, The Expanse does a good enough job here. The storytelling is better than what Supermassive has been able to deliver in their more recent entries like The Quarry and The Devil in Me. So there's that. The gameplay is your typical Telltale format. You talk to side characters, you develop rapport, and either gain allies or make enemies. You go through a few puzzles as you navigate the story, and then you make major decisions that could potentially get characters killed. If you played the Telltale game, or more recently a Quantic Dream, Supermassive, or Enter Night game, then you know how this works and either jive with the kind of game this is or you shun it. The lack of innovating off their previous format may be disappointing for some. I will reserve my judgment on that until the entire season is completed. Quite a few have wondered if new Telltale could even match what old Telltale could deliver, and I think it was important for them to establish that they can do that first before breaking new ground. Overall, Telltale's The Expanse is a good narrative-driven adventure that, if you enjoy these kind of titles, you'll dig this one. As usual, I don't do review scores. I just do a recommend or not recommend, and I do recommend you check out The Expanse, especially if you like these kind of games. Okay? Review is done. Let's talk some spoilers now. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, in my playthrough, I decided to jetson the captain, and it was a fairly easy decision. I wasn't remotely surprised by his betrayal. From his very first conversation with Kamina and the exposition delivered on their deal, I knew dude was just biding his time to when she'd be expendable to him. As soon as he asked her to check on their thrusters, I knew he was trying to set her up. So my approach to the crew was firm but fair. I struck hard at any insinuations that I was a lackey to the captain. Regardless of if it was a joke or dead serious, you need to exert some authority. For example, I didn't mind the playful nature of the brothers, but I also had to make sure they knew I was still their superior and I'm not quite one of them. I think this worked out for me in the end as the crew sided with me in the confrontation with the captain. I am hopeful that the decision to kill the captain actually yields some negative aspects. There should be proper consequences for all actions. He makes it appear as if you keep him alive and just keep him in the brig, that he can be useful in information that you might need in future episodes, but I also felt doing so was inviting this chance he may try to escape or attempt to coerce the crew to betray me if I made some future decisions that they didn't like. So I found not having a potential mutiny or chance he tried to kill me in the future to be more important than any value he may have provided. The crew is very one note, despite being well written and having good voice acting. So far we don't really know anything about them besides really basic stuff like, here, this guy's clumsy, this guy is a joker, this older woman is surly and insults everyone. This girl might be a future love interest. That guy has a secret that they'll later be revealed. It's all typical fare in these kind of games. So far, I'm not loving any of the crew, but I'm also not hating them either. I thought the pirates leaving the UNN forces crew decapitated the way they did really delivered the kind of message you expect in this kind of universe, and really lets the gamer, the player, know what the stakes can be for failure or losing. I'm a light fan of the show. I've watched up to season 5, but I'm good with it. I'm good with this TV series so far. The first episode worked for me. What about you guys, though? What decisions did you make, and how did you enjoy the first episode? Let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and hit the dislike button if you didn't like it. It's all good. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this in the future. Peace.